Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Office 365 Pulse with Jennifer Ann Mason and her special guest, Cathy Dew. My name is Dan Holm. I'm the co-founder of IT Unity, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all here as an opportunity to keep up to date with the rapidly changing world of Office 365. So thanks for dancing along and singing along with our intro music. With no further ado, let me hand it over to our amazing expert host, Jennifer Ann Mason.
Hey guys, how are you? Hopefully everybody can hear me. Cathy is joining us today. She is having some camera issues. So Cathy, are you there? Maybe not. She may have disappeared. So we will just go with it. Lyman, can you change the view so I can share today's sway? All right. So I am going to show off and share my screen now, and I'm going to show today's sway. You guys can find the link up in the Pulse links, the one that says today's sway, and then you can always use the little arrows on the screen that's displaying that will let you expand it out, kind of minimize the cameras and the content. So let's see. So Cathy, did you join us, Cathy? I don't know if I can hear her or not.
I am here. I'm just trying to get the webcam back connected. But I am here.
Okay. Cool. So Cathy's with us, so hopefully she'll be able to hop on the camera in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, we can kind of go ahead and get started, go through the content that we have for the show. As always, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them into the chat window, and we will try to answer them. I see a couple of friends in the audience today from different times that they've been here. So I'm excited to see everybody, and please feel free to join in and say hi. That must be Lori Gowan in the chat room because she's naming Cathy's cat. So it's either Lori Gowan or Cathy has a stalker friend also named Lori, which anything is possible. But I think it is Lori. So hi, Lori. I'm happy to have you here. Feel free to add your input and insight in any of the conversations that we have. So awesome. It's been a busy week with Office 365. I was talking to Dan before when things got started, and he was saying how there's some persistent issues with Office 365 now, and creating site collections and stuff like that. So if anybody is in the audience and they're having any issues like that, it'd be interesting to kind of hear from you. Cathy, have any of your customers run into those issues with creating site collections and different things along those lines?
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been encountering these issues for a couple of months now, off and on at different times and in slightly different flavors. But I've been having lately some issues even just creating site collections. I know I had one customer who tried, and I tried myself in a different tenant, and it took up to 4 days to actually get a site collection created. And I know they are actively working on resolving that. So hopefully we'll see that changing soon. And I've also had people reporting that their site collections don't show up in the list, which is another variation of this particular bug. So hopefully they get that sorted out fairly quickly, and I know they're working on it.
No kidding. I'm going to knock on wood because I haven't. Yeah. I haven't seen him at all.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just lucky. Maybe I'm lucky. So, all right. Well, since I haven't seen them, they didn't really make it into the Pulse day because I was going through the different, issues I was seeing and different things like that. So very, very odd. But we'll kind of go through the Pulse today. There's some other good shows. Or good pieces that are there. Cathy, I really didn't give you a time to introduce yourself, but Cathy is one of my dearest friends in the community. Love getting to work with Cathy. We do a lot of stuff together for women in technology, and so she has got just done leaps and bounds of things to kind of progress women into technology and to kind of help foster them and different things like that. And so, Cathy, I'll give you a quick minute to kind of do an intro and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, like Jen says, we've been friends for many, many years now, and just really enjoy being able to talk to each other and hang out. And I think Lori mentioned my cat Rascal is my constant work companion, so you may see a black cat pop in and out of the video here today, but he is laying on the keyboard at the moment, so he is here and participating in this. But I focus primarily on SharePoint from many different perspectives. I do a lot of business analyst type roles and also from a user experience role. So how to make it work better for you and your users, how to make it look different. So I've spent a lot of time with Office 365 and understanding the new experiences and all of the new things that are being added in as to how that impacts how users actually work with the environment.
Very cool. Well, super happy to have you on today's show. I was hoping that today I was going to get to give everybody a little bit of an update of where I have landed. However, I'm not ready to share the details yet. So hopefully soon, hopefully for the next show, definitely I should be able to share with everybody where I'm at. But until then, I'm just doing Jen things. So kind of just putting my flavor into a different place. So all sorts of fun stuff. So that's a little bit about Cathy and I here. And we can jump into the content for today. So a couple of updates. Updates to Office Online. We're almost at weekly or bi-weekly now. It seems that updates are coming to Office Online, and they are not spectacular updates. They're more along the lines of things that you would expect to have if the features were parity between the client. So autocorrect as you type, making the first word capital in a sentence. So, I kind of rely on that a little bit in Office Client as well. So having it in Word Online is pretty cool. And then also like the object formatting. So that is when you're dragging an image in PowerPoint and the little lines show up to show you how well you're aligning it in the entire thing. That is what came there. And then some additional viewing capabilities, specifically in how Word will view PDFs and how you can zoom in and zoom out. So to be perfectly honest, those things would show up and I probably would not even notice that it was an update because I kind of expect them to be there anyway. Not going to lie, I don't really author content in the online version. I'll consume it. I don't really edit or author content in that. I think I don't know why. I don't know if there's a reason I specifically don't. But I typically work in the client. How about you, Cathy? Do you edit content online at all, really? Do you edit content
online at all, really? I really only use the online versions when I'm co-authoring with other people and I'm trying to do something very quickly. But most of the documents that I'm working in have features that aren't available in the online versions yet. Or, like an Excel document using macros or Word documents with table of contents and that kind of thing that's just not available there yet. But I do use the online versions, especially when I'm co-authoring with someone.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe I use them and I don't even really realize I use them, but for the most part, I haven't. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'll read a lot for them, but typically when I go in and edit, I end up going back into the client. So, but the updates are coming, so maybe sooner than I think. I just won't even think to go to the client because I'll have everything that I need inside of the online experience. But who knows? Okay, so cool. So the next update is the Sway app. So how about this? We're about to give an update that applies to a Windows app, a Windows Universal app. So Sway has said that by the end of the summer, they will have their turn notifications off there. They will have their Universal app coming for Sway, which will put it out on Windows 10 and then supposedly the Windows 10 mobile. So the Sway app should be coming. So I have a confession to make to my audience today. We've got something that I don't think anyone would have ever thought they'd seen me own, and that would be an iPhone. So I know Windows Mobile Phone 10 is coming, but after the announcements today, I kind of got sick of waiting. So all these times that I've said, well, I don't have that app because I'm just running on Windows. Now, maybe I'll use you guys as my excuse for the sake of my viewers. I'll be able to say, now I can go test what that app looks like. So I kind of think it's funny. So, but I haven't used Sway. Have you? You're a big iPhone user. Do you use Sway on the iPhone yet, Kathy?
I've used it to review Sway presentations, but I haven't used it to create or edit or anything like that yet. I've used the Delve app. I've used several of them, but I haven't done a lot with the Sway one yet.
I'll have to give it a whirl and see what I think of it. But Sway is coming. They'll have a universal app out by this summer. I'm guessing that they're working on it. They specifically said the July 29th release date of Windows 10, and then they'll be following shortly with their app. So I think it's pretty cool that that one's coming. So there we go. The next change that they made is one that I think is actually really cool and long overdue. I feel like it's one that they have been talking about, but they haven't really done it yet. And it showed up in my tenant while we were doing sound check today, which is funny because it wasn't there yesterday because I was trying to go in and build a demo of it, but it wasn't there. So it showed up today. So I'm sure it didn't show up while we were doing sound check, but it showed up today. And that's the ability for people to load in custom tiles and then load in apps where the authentication syncs totally through into the app launcher. And so the idea is there's this collection of free apps that already will take Office 365 logins and just seamlessly work. And they want to make it easier for people to have access to those apps. And so what they've done is in the store now, and when you go to customize the app, you can get the app and then put it inside of your app launcher. I'm actually going to hop over here. And then with that, they also did the custom tiles. So you can put your own custom tile inside of the app launcher, which is pretty cool and I think very long overdue. Although I put it in there and the image didn't work, even though I have the very specific image sizes that they said to have. So I'm going to have to go explore that a little bit as well. But how this basically works is, so here I've got two custom apps that are here. So one that goes to my company website. This goes to the Office 365 Success Center. I honestly don't know where this link came from because I don't remember adding it, but maybe I added it forever ago. But what basically happens is you can go over to the admin section for Office 365, and you can come over here to your company profile, and you have custom tiles here. So these custom tiles will let you add a title, URL, description, and image URL of what you want to be on that tile. So this one is pretty cool. I think people are very excited about this. I know I was excited when I found the documentation, and then I kept looking to see, is it there, is it there, is it there, and it's not. So I'm excited about that. Kathy, is this something, I know you work a lot with branding and Office 365. I bet this is something your customers have been waiting for a long time.
Yeah, this is really huge for me. I've been begging for this for 6 months now, and they keep telling me, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and now it's finally here. This is going to be great for giving people quick access into intranets and really being able to customize that experience.
Yeah. A couple of people are saying that it would be great if this also had audiences, so you could trim it to audiences and kind of see what's going on there. I don't know what the future of audiences is, though, based on all the stuff they're doing with groups and all of these other things. So it'll be interesting to see, kind of watch that space and see what's going. It'll also be interesting to see what happens when somebody goes crazy, because like when somebody decides that they need like 82 custom links, what's going to happen with that app launcher and different things like that. So that one's kind of interesting. So then I'm also curious to see, what's up with the images and stuff like that. So like I said, I've been playing with it. It was supposed to work. I expected it to work. I put a 50 by 50 image in just like it said and got nothing. So I'm going to play with it a little bit more, and then I may follow up with an actual article on some of these new features that are there, because if I can't read the instructions and get it, by just following the instructions, then I'm assuming others are having issues as well. So there we go. We may have just lost Kathy, but she'll probably come back in just 1 second. So we'll just keep rocking until we see Kathy coming back. Okay, so here we go. And then the next update that we have is they have a site called Getting Started on PowerShell for Office 365. And this is a new site that is really targeted at IT administrators with little to no experience with PowerShell. So there's still some things that you can really only do with PowerShell that are a little bit tricky. I know, we live in the land, we being a collective we here, we live in the land of no syntax and no semicolons, and PowerShell is definitely syntax and semicolons, but the world doesn't exist without syntax and semicolons, so sometimes even though we hate them and we're allergic to them, we have to swallow a Benadryl and write a line of code anyway. But for those of us who have to do that and need to go in and get with the PowerShell, this new app is out, or this new website is out here to kind of guide you through it and to give you examples and different things along those lines. Kathy, are you a big PowerShell user?
I am not a big PowerShell user. I have to use it for something, but I've never been a big PowerShell user. Don't really know the language.
Okay. I think we just lost Kathy again. Hopefully I am not talking over her. I did that on some of our other webcasts, but here is the PowerShell site that's here. Basically tells you the why, and then different scenarios that you could do with PowerShell. And so they're trying to make it very user-friendly. So if you know you need to do something with user management, you can come in here, okay, automating, importing multiple users, different things like that. So definitely helpful if you need to know what to do, or a lot of times if you just need to give guidance to your IT pro or your administrator, you want to be able to come in. Daniel asked if there's any commandlets, and I don't know of any new ones that have come out. I think this is simply a way of pushing information out to people in a way that's easily consumable. So I don't know of anything new that's necessarily come out. And for this is more just about getting people that information if they're not super, if they're not super up to date on PowerShell and different things like that. This is a great way. So we have some of these different pieces here. Some of the other changes that have come this week are compliance toolset for public folders. So all of the basic compliance features that are available in Office 365 and Exchange are going to push down and become available inside of public folders. They said that this was based on need, so they had enough people using public folders that were pushing them to drive to do this, so that they're going to be rolling it out. So the lesson that we should learn from this is if we have a need for something, we need to be pushing Microsoft to do it, because we do see them taking action based on customer needs and telemetry. So based on the need of people still using public folders, that's not something of the past as Microsoft had wanted it to be. There's still people using public folders, and they need the same compliance and management features. So we definitely should take from this that we can do that. So but the compliance is coming. It hasn't said exactly when it's coming. It's going to start to roll out, but the same compliance features that are available in all of Exchange are now going to be available and trickle down into public folders. Yay! Well, oh, she was back and she disappeared again. So we shall see. We shall see what happens with that one. The next one that we have is Cortana is coming to Office 365. And at first I thought Cortana coming to Office 365, that's kind of silly. I'm not really totally sure what we would do with it. My husband loves Cortana and is constantly talking to Cortana, telling his phone to do things. getting Cortana to do reminders, different things like that. And he uses it quite a bit. I didn't use it as much when I had a Windows phone. But one thing that I did love about Cortana was that if I had a meeting somewhere and the meeting wasn't home, Cortana would come up on my phone and be like, hey, Jen, you're going to be late to your meeting. Get your butt there. There is an accident on the way to the airport. Traffic's bad. You need to get there. So that was one of the coolest things that I think Cortana ever did. And so Cortana is coming to Office 365. It's going to be able to integrate with our calendars and different contents within Office 365 to help us do things better. So think of it as your personal assistant that's going to be on the computer, able to help you kind of integrate it into Office 365. So there were some links there kind of showing you what's coming. This is all still, I guess it will be there when Windows 10 is there, different things like that. So it's not totally there yet, but it's things that are coming. So definitely think it's productivity tools that we will be able to bounce and use, and it will help us do things. Cortana is coming. All right. The next update that we have is archiving for non-Microsoft data inside of Office 365. So I thought that this one was pretty cool. Basically, they're working with two different companies that are going to take all of the features for archiving and compliance and some of these different things and take them outside of the Microsoft stack. So e-discovery, retention, hold, auditing, and all of those. And they're going to be available for things like Twitter, Facebook, instant messaging, document collaboration, different verticals, and different things like that. And so I think that this is going to be a very interesting topic to see what's coming with this. And so I don't know totally how this is going to happen. This is another one that's coming soon. And I'm not sure what the cost and everything is going to be. But the capability and the plugins are there to do it, which is pretty amazing. So if you have a company that's using multiple tool sets and they're not a full Microsoft stack, maybe they're using Chatter for something, but you still need auditing and you still need compliance, then Office 365 can be your Office 365 can still be your platform, and it can be the thing that helps you get to the other tools that you need to use, and it can still be doing the auditing and compliance for other applications. So this is a huge announcement in my mind, and I think it is really important for the business. It helps them really select the right tool for the right job at the right time, but still keeps the control and everything there. So very interesting. I'm going to see where that one keeps coming, and I'm going to keep watching that one. All right, the next one, and I think Kathy is still having network issues, so I'm not sure. I know she's in the chat room chatting away, so she'll kind of have to give her input. But,
I'm here, Jen.
There for that one.
But
hey, she's here. She's just not on video. Mm-hmm.
I'm here, but every time I start my webcam, it drops the connection. So I'm here. I just can't start my webcam back up.
Cool. Well, I'll ask you. You were typing in about the one that you were really excited about. Was that the archiving for non-Microsoft data? Do you want to talk about that one for a little bit?
Yeah, that one I think that's going to be really cool. So many people are using Salesforce and Chatter, and being able to have that archived would just be fantastic. I know that a lot of my customers are really needing that right there.
Right. And then, do you have customers that use a collection of tools, like maybe some are using Chatter and some are using Yammer and different things like that, or is it mostly set one per company? Okay, we may have lost her again. We'll see.
Yeah, right. No, I have people using. Yeah, I definitely have people using a mixture of tools there.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. I'm excited to see that. I think it shows that Microsoft is serious about providing the tools across the stack. So we kind of saw them providing the tools across the stack when it came to the mobile phone and the different platforms that are there. Now it's interesting to see how they're coming in and doing what they do well across multiple platforms. multiple applications. Very cool stuff. Awesome. The next one that came, I think you'd have to be a true nerd to really love, but Office 2016 has new chart types in Excel. So if you needed a histogram or a box and whisker, I don't even really know what a box and whisker chart is. But if I need one now, it's there, as well as a sunburst and a tree map. And I'm pretty bad when I do my charts in Excel. I just kind of do my chart and scan over it and see what happens and which one tells the best story. I'm definitely not a statistician. If I've just proven that, I probably didn't even say that word right. My husband, who is downstairs watching, at least I think that's the Corey that's in the group, is probably dying because I'm pronouncing things wrong. But statistician, I don't know how to say that. New charts in Excel. So if you are a math nerd or something like that, it's totally cool. You know, they're there now. The other one that's come is the Skype for Business Windows Phone app is here. So they have the Windows Phone app here. If you're running 8.1, you can get it. Most people who have it, it's going to be automatically updated. It's going to go through an update cycle and just switch over to be Skype for Business instead of Link. So that's there. Probably won't even notice it too much as you're. The other thing that they have, though, that is Skype related is preview for new Skype features. And so this one is really cool. Skype meeting broadcast, Cloud PBX, conferencing, those things are available. So you can register for the preview and then it will show up in your tenant. I know a couple of people have registered. I know Dan said he registered, but it hadn't showed up in his tenant yet. So those are different things that if you can sign up for it, you can see it in your tenant and then start using those features. I guess Lori said you will notice the app. You'll notice it because it's better in different pieces, but yeah, the Skype app that's there. Better changes. I personally have enjoyed the change from Link to Skype. I think the user interface is much nicer. I love being able to go in and see things clear. So I don't miss Link at all, really. I really do like the Skype for Business. I did have a fun issue with the preview. I was running the Office 2016 preview and I was running Office 2013, and every time I signed into Skype for Business, it was a completely different user experience. So sometimes I was getting Link, sometimes I was getting Skype for Business. It was definitely comical because it would also be signing me out and signing me back in. So I finally had to get rid of it, and I actually downgraded. I got rid of the 2016 beta on my computer completely and went back to 2013. And so later this week, I'm going to try to go get that out there. So awesome. Philip is telling us that the box and whiskers is like a bar chart with plus or minus error bars for outliers. Okay, so it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons that they had to do it. I mean, I thought Excel had every single chart type possible, but I guess not. So very cool stuff, all coming in Excel again. So awesome. Okay, so the next thing that we have here are some security videos available. So many months ago, there was a conference, it's the RSA conference, and the Microsoft security team was going, and I kind of talked about it a little bit in the show, saying that they were going to be out there. They had something like 25 different sessions all about security, and this is the collection of videos that came from it. So I linked to the original blog post and then I embedded the different videos here. But they talk about why trust the Microsoft Cloud, advanced security and SaaS, how can you move forward with innovation in highly regulated areas. So these are just some of the videos from the conference that they put together and they shared publicly. So I definitely recommend taking a little bit of time and being able to sit down and watch these videos, keep up with what Microsoft is doing so you understand their level of compliance and their importance of security in the cloud. So these videos are now available. I thought it would be really good to share with everybody so you guys could have access to them. I guess because I can't see Kathy, I keep forgetting that she's there, and then I just keep talking and talking and talking. So Kathy, if you're there, do you have anything to chime in or add on to what I've been talking about?
no, with the security videos, I think they're really going to be helpful for the people that have questions. I know I work with a lot of state, local government, and tribal groups, and they still have a lot of security questions around this, and these are going to be a really great resource to point them to start answering some of their questions.
Yeah, I was excited about it. I'm glad that they're trying to make information so public. They're trying so very hard to get information to people. So I just think it is a really exciting time. I've really seen Microsoft change in the last, even in the last year. They're just getting so good at listening to and understanding their customer base and understanding where people have issues, and then trying to provide that level of information. So good stuff. Great.
Yeah, that level of transparency they're adding in is really nice.
Yeah, it's definitely fun stuff. And it's a nice time to be engaged with Microsoft. I love it when they're open and willing to answer questions. Well, cool. Kathy, one thing that I don't think that many people realize about you is that while you are awesome at branding and you have a wonderful following for doing branding and doing different things, you're also one of the best people that I know when it comes to planning out a project for success. So going in there, understanding requirements, planning for success, and doing just some really amazing things with projects. So what I kind of wanted to chat through was, get your perspective and get your feedback and thoughts on how do you have a successful SharePoint project, and how do you go about ensuring success and building something for success. And so I thought we could spend a little bit of time talking about that, and then we could show off some of the new features, or they're not even really new, I just kind of think they're hidden gems of features that are from the Success Center. So maybe we could kick off with Kathy, you just kind of sharing from your experience, what makes a successful project, and how can you plan to be successful when you're getting started?
Okay. Well, for me, I go in and help people with a lot of different projects, and for me, it's kind of a split between have they had SharePoint before or have they not? And the approach to making it successful in either way is a slightly different. One of the big things that I'm a huge proponent of is doing planning, and when you start in that planning cycle, whether it's a migration or a from scratch intranet, is really reaching out to actual business users across the entire organization. So I'm talking about people from the IT staff to the marketing staff to sales to HR, finance, and talking to them of all different levels, because we really want to hear how they need to work and what they need to use to plan that, and just kind of not getting that very isolated scope that a lot of times we get by coming in and just working with an IT department or a marketing department for an intranet. So for me, it's just really important to get lots of feedback and let people have their input into it. Whether or not you implement their input and their requests is a whole other thing, but at least they've been able to provide some input into what you're building. That's kind of my number one key to being successful.
When you go out and work with different customers, what are some of the most common mistakes or most common assumptions that get people into trouble with a project?
Oh, that's a good one. One of the most common mistakes that I see people doing is that they're trying to structure their intranet or their SharePoint projects like their organizational chart, and it doesn't necessarily match up to how people work. And so that's one of the common ones that I see a lot, is trying to force how people work into an organizational chart. And that's not how sites work and people work and all of that. So that's one of the common ones. The other one that I see people running into again and again and again, especially if they're doing some type of migration or upgrade, is that they've implemented SharePoint in the past and SharePoint has become like a dirty word. There's that whole perception issue. And so they keep going at it, calling it SharePoint over and over and over again, and people just don't even want to use it, not because of what they've done or the improvements, but because of that perception. And so having, especially now going to Office 365, one of the things that I've actually loved is how the word SharePoint is kind of going away. It's all Office 365 branded, and the only time we even see the SharePoint logo is in the sites tab, the tile there. And so it makes it easier to call it a new intranet or a new portal than it does in previous versions and times. So those are the two kind of, things that I see people running into a lot.
Yeah. I see people going down and feeling like they have to pick such a path, like feeling like, kind of like what you said, like we have to go down the org structure, and so this is how we're going to build everything, and this is what it is, and then everything becomes an exception to that, so then they have to start planning for and figuring and doing everything that's an exception. It ends up just making this big mess, and so it's so much easier if people can think of things as a function, and it just kind of is what it is, and sometimes things are going to be cross departments, and sometimes they're not, and just kind of making so many assumptions actually I think makes it very difficult in the long run. So, all right, another question for you, Kathy. If you could give we'll go with two. If you could give two pieces of advice to someone that was in the middle of we'll ask the question twice, but the first time I'm going to ask the question. If someone is in the middle of let's just call it what it is, probably a project from hell. So maybe somebody is in the middle. They're deep in the trenches of going in and trying to fix a project, or they're in a project that has gotten a little bit derailed, and we've all been there, we've all felt it, and now we have to fix it and make it better. If you could give them two pieces of advice on how to regroup in these types of projects and get things back on track, what would those two pieces of advice be that you could give them?
Oh, another good question. I think the first thing that I see a lot of times as projects get off track is that people aren't communicating. And so one of the things I like to do, and I come into a lot of projects as they've started to go off track and try to help kind of wrangle them back into the direction that we need them to do. And the first thing you need to do is kind of stop, step back, assess, and then communicate, almost to the point of over communicating. And that is with your team, but also with your users and your stakeholders. You need to tell people what's going on, make sure your users know that something's coming, make sure your stakeholders are involved in any problems, issues, or risks that are coming up, so that they're there and helping. And so it's kind of a stop, step back, assess, and then communicate is a big one to start getting it back on track. And the next one is to take it and almost pare down what you're trying to do. Really take a step back and focus on what needs to go into a phase 2. Maybe I'm biting off more than I can chew, and I need to do a phase 1 that is really just document collaboration and building a site structure, and then maybe adding in a phase 2, which is adding in even something as simple as Excel services, and putting that in there as a phase 2 sometimes can help to give you more time to deal with some of the issues that are causing problems in a project.
Yeah, those are that was good. I'm kind of giving you these hard questions on the fly without wording, and you're answering them so good. My next question is same concept. If you could give people,
yeah, you didn't even warn me on these. No advance notice.
I know, no advance notice. I just kind of thought of them as we started talking. We'll go with it. We're going on the fly. You're doing great. For somebody who's starting new on a project, so they're starting completely brand spanking new on a project, what are the two pieces of advice you'd give them for what they should do at just the onset?
So you said brand new, starting from the beginning of the project, right?
Yep.
With that one, I really think one of the biggest things that I see people doing is trying to put in too much. So I really like to approach people and really prioritize and do some of that phase approaching. Really plan for what you need there. And it's hard. Don't set too aggressive of a timeline is another one. That's a big one as I see people going into this. When you're starting out from scratch, you need to narrow your scope and really keep your timeline manageable, because I see too many people coming into it and saying, well, we need this in 3 months, and jumping into it and trying to move from file shares and multiple platforms and dealing with very siloed information and getting in there. And you really have to educate your users to a certain extent too, because especially if you've never had a platform like SharePoint before, they're very used to their file structures and their folders and their file shares, and it's really hard to get them to understand how moving into a site can benefit them. And so you have to almost set up, I love to work with people and set up like a proof of concept site, really go in and work with one team who can pilot it and embrace it and set that up and use that as your education tool for everyone else, and kind of go through and show them the art of the possible so that they can really start to understand how this project can impact their daily work experiences.
Yeah, definitely. Such good advice, Kathy. Thank you for sharing. And like I said, people I know, they know you for your branding perspective and different things that they see you do in the community and do different things like that. But when it comes down to just the real world of having to work amongst projects and deadlines and different pieces, you're one of my favorite resources when it comes to that, because you just have such keen understanding and doing all of those pieces. So thank you for coming and sharing that with us. I love it. Um, so the last thing I wanted to show was kind of to the audience, and we were recently in a presentation where Microsoft was sharing some of this content with us again, and almost reminding us that it was out there. And I'm so super excited that they did, because there is some great content out there that people I don't think necessarily realize is out there. So the site that I'm talking about is the Office 365 Success Center. Now, this has been one of those sites that's kind of in the works for years. I think about 2 years ago they announced it. You looked at it and you're like, yeah, it's kind of cute. They've got some stuff out there. But the team that's been working on it has been continually adding content, and there is some amazing content out there. So what I wanted to do is I've got, this way that talks through the different pieces that are there. We'll talk through it, but then I'm also going to show you guys the site in the last 15 minutes that we have. This basically gives you a set of resources for you to help plan your deployment. A lot of that right now is around adoption planning. And then it also does templates for specific things that you want to do and different scenarios. So I'm going to hop over to the site here, and we see that we've got different scenarios. So I can click on it here, and it's going to open it up and show me the different scenarios that the site speaks to. So you've got get it done on the go, put your files anywhere, make meetings matter, and work like a network. There's these different scenarios that you can do. And let's say, I wanted to go and see, okay, well, what are my benefits for this? Why do I get to do this? And then come down here, how do I set myself up for success? And watch different videos on it. This is all kind of cool stuff, but not my favorite part of the site. I'll show you my favorite part in just a second. You have all the resources. You can download them. There's a way to get countdown templates and poster templates and different things like that. So you can really push this out. There's also under resources, I think this is pretty cool, where you can just go get a summary of all of the resources that they've made available to you. So you can see different customer case studies, adoption planning guide, communication guide. Some of them are links to the learning centers, different things like that. So all very, very cool. But the one thing that I think is underutilized on this site is the adoption planning. And so when you're working on a project, you can come in here, you can see all of the adoption planning pieces, but you can also go in and build your own adoption plan. And I think this is just absolutely spectacular. I'm going to come over here and sign in with my Office 365 account. Okay. And then I'm going to be able to go in and edit an existing adoption plan that I have, or I'm going to be able to go in and create a new one. If I just hit create a new one, so I can show you what the thing is like, I'm going to call it Pulse Demo 2. I'm going to come over here and we're going to save. Oops, I'm going to put a description. Save. So I could put this in there for like a new project that I'm doing, or different things. Like, you know, maybe I'm now coming out and adding phase 2, or I'm on phase 3 of the project, and different things like that. And what is so cool about this is you can come over here and expand it, and I can come here and actually list out the names and the emails. So let's say, you know, that Cathy Dew is my business. And I can come over here, cdew at go-. All right, so I can see that she's there. I've got different champions. I have all of these different titles that are already there for me. And these are particularly the people that you need to have a successful implementation. But inside of all of this, it's also going to give you the resources to do what you need at this step. So I can come over here, I can fill that in. But I also have my vision, and it's going to guide me through some of the different questions. So have I already done my vision? Yes. Okay, what is my vision in 1 to 4 sentences? If I haven't done my vision, it's going to come down here and give me host a meeting with your customer executives, key department stakeholders. Host a meeting is telling me what to do to build this out to be successful. This is so super awesome. Okay. Then once I keep doing these different things, I can come down and say, okay, scenarios. Let's go pick what scenarios make sense to what I'm doing. This is all great stuff. I can pick the ones that make sense. I can help prioritize them. I can do these different things. We can go in and add our success matrix. What are our metrics? What are we going to care about? How are we going to be successful? How are we going to track that? Example goals and different things like that, and as well as activities. The activities tab is pretty amazing. And so what it's going to do is come in and give you all of these different activities that you need to do, pre-launch, launch, post-launch. And as I expand this, it's going to say, okay, my timeline, a week out, who is going to own this? Have we completed this? What's the description? But notice they're not pushing me on this and saying this is exactly how to do it. They're giving me guidelines and steps to do it. I can change it. I can also come down here and add my own activity. So I can give it a name. I can say when I can do it. I can do these different pieces. All very, very cool things. Very, very cool things to see. As well as the launch activities. There we go. And then the post-launch. I can create snapshots, so I can kind of save my point in time of when I've done things with the different pieces. I can go out. And then again, I have all of the templates and the content. I can order my flag. I can watch the videos. I can do blogs. I can do different things here. So all very, very cool things that you can do inside of the Adoption Center. And I think that a lot of times when they go out and they push these new sites, we look at the sites and we're like, okay, it's kind of cool, but it doesn't have totally what I need. But then we step away from it for a bit and we don't realize all of the fantastic pieces that are there. And so this would be so super awesome for somebody who's just getting started with projects and needs ideas of what to do and wants to look at different adoption pieces and stuff like that. It's a ton of amazing content out here. So I wanted to make sure that this was something that you guys would be able to see and can go get. And so it's just success.office.com. And then once you get to that homepage, you can go under adoption and you can create your own plan, or you can just go through and see the resources that are there. So this is definitely a site that you guys should check out and see the content that's there, because I think that is really, really awesome. So that kind of brings us to the end of our sway today. If you guys have any questions or anything Kathy or I as we're going, you guys can go ahead and add them into the chat window. And we'll continue. I think our next show we're going to have a guest. I have a guest. Lyman's got the information, but I forget who my guest is. It's either Mark Anderson or somebody else. So we'll see. So that's coming up. I forget who I said. Tom Duff. That's who it is. It's Tom Duff. Tom Duff is going to join me next time, and he does a lot of these day-to-day activities inside of an insurance company. So he's going to share with us some real-world applications and just kind of his experience. He has a huge Lotus Notes background, and then he went from Lotus to SharePoint. So it's going to be a great show that we have there. I thank you so much for joining us, Kathy. And then, as always, you guys can join the conversation in Yammer. So the Office 365 network is going to be in Yammer. Lots of really great content. We'll go there. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them into the chat room. And otherwise, we will see you guys. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks for the next show. Thanks, guys.